afternoon everybody, welcome back to Queenie of London. I wish I was speaking to you in nicer times, but I'm making this video today just to document London at this incredible, historically monumental moment. We've lost our Queen, and I thought I'd begin this video. That's Berkeley Square up there, and that just over there is 17 Bruton Street. You might be able to see some plaques, but I can't get near it at the moment. That is where on the 21st of April 1926 our Queen was born. There are two plaques over there to commemorate that. One of those was put up at her Diamond Jubilee. Obviously that's not the original building that she was born into. It was originally a townhouse, and that was demolished in 1937, but it was the home of her grandparents, her mum's parents, the Earl and Duchess of Strathclyde. That was their townhouse in this part of Mayfair, and it was from there that her mum left to marry the then Duke of York, who became our brilliant King George the VI. So today I'm just going to have a little walk around London just to capture exactly what it was like on this day. I'm going to go and head down to Piccadilly and show you there, and then down to Buckingham Palace, and I will see you soon. When I was on the bus here, the 22, we came up Sloane Street, and every single shop that I have always adored, every designer has their shutters down, and Vivienne Westwood here is no exception. Lovely to see and so respectful. So you'll probably have seen loads of front pages already today. It's Friday. Here's the Evening Standard, and as it says, we are a country in mourning. We now enter 10 to 12 days of official mourning here in the UK and probably elsewhere around the world. This is Piccadilly Circus. I come to look at the blackout of the advertising boards, which hardly ever happens. These were completely blacked out for the funeral of Princess Diana and for Winston Churchill, because they did have a lighting advertising back then. They were also blacked out for World Earth Day, and now they are taken over with this gorgeous image of our Queen. I think that's a Snowdon. One thing I'm going to miss really sincerely, which you can never ever replicate, is the portraits that were taken of monarchy by two greats, Cecil Beaton and Lord Snowdon. Those are the two stamp photos, right? That were the stamps were based on. So here on Piccadilly is Hatchard's. This is one of London's. I think it might actually be the oldest bookshop in London. It is graced with 3, I think, royal warrants, and this is what they've done here. And right next door to Hatchard's you have Fortnum's, and I can already see so although Fortnum's have covered their windows, they are actually still open. Here on this corner window between Piccadilly and Duke St James's, you have a photo. It's really nice to see so many people stop in like me just to look at a picture of our Queen in the windows. This is the kind of thing I was expecting to find in St James's, where all the royal warrants are. I will keep my camera rolling now, guys. Churchill's cigar shop. Gorgeous smell walking past there. Takes you back to a different time. Up ahead there you have St James's Palace, the oldest working royal palace, and it's from there tomorrow that the accession council will meet and officially proclaim King Charles III, our new king. Thank you. We are hearing from our new king at 6 o'clock this evening, I believe. I think it's quite tempting to sort of just stay in and catch everything of note going on the news, but I really wanted to come outside and walk around our historic capital just to feel part of nation, I suppose. Yeah, you don't normally get police vans at St James's, and they're there eating. I want to take that road there to Pall Mall, at Marlborough Street. There's people coming up the other way, so I guess I can walk down there. Oh. I'll try and rejoin you when I'm on the Mall. They aren't normally armoured, so I think Privy Council must be in there, or the new king. See, pre-recording the message. If you come down the end here, you'll go onto the Mall, and there's a lot of people, which is lovely to see. Can't believe the last time I come up here it was the Jubilee, and it was such a different atmosphere, celebration. Now there's a lot of sadness. Quite quite palpable in the air. It's very, very quiet.
And he put them through.
So if you're overseas and you're not sure what happened today at midday, our Houses of Commons and Lords sat, and there were many speeches from the MPs and the Lords to commemorate our Queen. The bells at Westminster Abbey and St Paul's chimed at midday, and at 1 o'clock there was a gun salute in Hyde Park, and I believe there was also one at the Tower of London. Then our new king flew back from Balmoral.
Photos, Jim. Police, when they see how que ya lo ven allí, o si no, pues te enseñaban
I'm not sure what's happening here, but I'll have a look.
Little cat is on me. Right, hello, how are you? Right, I think that little one. Is it going out?
He's going out.
Going out.
Thank you.
The new king is coming.
Come on, everybody.
No.
God save our king! You're an idiot going by on a scooter. So we just saw our new king. I couldn't have timed that any better, could I? Completely by accident. I'm just going to go and have a little look at the flowers that have been left here.
He's in the main room.
Creo que es más a la derecha, la cabeza.
You can be sad.
So while our country and me remain in mourning, there won't be any uploads to Queenie of London. But from me to you, please take care, and God save our new king.
During her time on the throne, Queen Elizabeth met with 13 of the 14 most recent presidents. One of those was President Harry Truman, a Missouri native. KSHB 41's Bryant Madrick caught up with staff at the Truman Presidential Library to learn more about that relationship.
You're looking at a photo of Elizabeth with Harry Truman, the year 1951, and this is the vehicle they were both riding in that historic visit. And get this, Elizabeth met 13 U.S. presidents, Harry Truman, of course, being one of them, but here's the big distinction. Truman was the only president to meet Elizabeth before she was queen.
For political and diplomatic reasons, it was important to carry out that meeting.
A meeting during an important time in the world. The Korean War is underway, and in the U.S., concerns about communism. Randy Soul, an archivist at the Truman Presidential Library, says the 1951 meeting showed relations between the U.S. and U.K. were strong.
It set the stage for her relations with the United States over the 70 years that followed, which were respectful.
This meeting happening towards the end of Truman's presidency and what would soon be the beginning of Elizabeth's reign as queen. So what did Truman think of Princess Elizabeth?
Truman felt that she handled herself very well. He was very impressed with her.
Elizabeth would become queen a year later.
She was still a contemporary figure as of 2022. There aren't too many people you could say that about who actually even met Truman, who are still alive today. Some people are, but to met him during his presidency, that'd be a pretty select group now.
And here's a photo in color of that 1951 meeting. It's just one of many images of that historical visit, as well as others that you can find here at the Truman Presidential Library. In Independence, I'm Bryant Madrick, KSHB 41 News.
Prince Charles becomes King of England following the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth.
Well, within minutes of Buckingham Palace announcing the very sad news of the Queen's passing, we had the first words from the new King and confirmation from Buckingham Palace that Charles will indeed be known as King Charles III.
The new king mourns the late monarch in a statement. Quote, "The death of my beloved mother, Her Majesty the Queen, is a moment of the greatest sadness for me and all members of my family. We mourn profoundly the passing of a cherished sovereign and a much-loved mother. I know her loss will be deeply felt throughout the country, the realms, and the Commonwealth, and by countless people around the world."
The Prince of Wales and Camilla were over at Dumfries House, I understand. It is my understanding that the Prince of Wales was with the Queen while she passed away. This is a family in mourning now, and of course, the Queen was a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother. We understand from Buckingham Palace that the new King, Charles III, and the Duchess of Cornwall, now Queen Consort, will stay at Balmoral tonight. They will travel to England tomorrow, where Charles will address the nation and give his first speech as King Charles III.
King Charles met with Prime Minister Liz Truss for the first time on Friday and admitted to her that the passing of his mother, the Queen, was a moment I've been dreading. The monarch also told the PM that the crowds that greeted him and the Queen consort as they arrived at Buckingham Palace were so touching.
King Charles III begins a new era for Great Britain as the UK mourns a beloved queen. Let's return to CBS 2's Christine Johnson live outside Windsor Castle, and you've been there today. Tell us about your reactions, Christine, on how everyone is handling the historic events.
Well, you know, we took a quick walk around Windsor Castle earlier tonight, and there were quite a few people actually in the restaurants and pubs sharing a pint with some of their friends, and I sensed that there was some celebratory mood happening just to celebrate the Queen, her existence, her longevity, and the fact that they were so proud to call her their Queen as much as she was proud to be their Queen. And you also got a sense of that with the people that were laying flowers outside of the castle. And what struck me as so poignant, Dana, was some of the personal messages that they left for her in little cards. Some of the children even drew drawings. But they all had a personal message for her. And that's how close they feel to Queen Elizabeth II and how much they wanted to take time out of their Friday night to honor her. So the mourning period will continue here, and we will have continuing live coverage for you in the coming days.
We hear that the truck's back there again, so they're getting ready for media, for what else is going on there tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here outside of Windsor Castle, this is where the Queen is going to be laid to rest. So many media outlets will be out here next week when that time comes. And so they're out here getting all of the scaffolding and risers constructed, and just accommodating the media that obviously wants to tell the story of tradition and monarchy here in this country.
Yeah, it's going to be an emotional couple of weeks, and as you said earlier, in the 5 days, weeks, months, years of adjustment for the many who've only known her as their monarch. Christine Johnson live at Windsor Castle. Thank you so much.
Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button. Comment if you want to request what the next data will be uploaded. Like and share if it's useful to spread the benefits.
Since the Queen's passing, so many are sharing stories who had a connection to her or to Britain. And we want to get the perspective of college students.
One's with both a connection to Britain and the Philadelphia area. Jennifer, it has been an emotional event no matter the age.
Yes, it truly has, including right here at Temple University. And, you know, we learned that a small group of students had the unique experience of putting together a special report with live coverage from London. Grieving continues around the globe for Queen Elizabeth II, and Chris Berger, a senior at Temple University, is in London now to cover the historic moment for Temple University television.
I felt the weight of the situation because it's a very important story, and it's a very like everybody in the world knows the Queen. So for me to be tasked with telling that story for Temple, it was crazy.
And it was no simple task. Berger is actually in his first week studying abroad in Rome. Soon after the Queen's death, his classmates at the student-run news service Temple Update contacted him to quickly get on a plane Friday morning.
I think that him, being on the ground in London from this morning really helped us to, add the emotions that people were feeling to our scripts, to our broadcast.
Back at the studios of TU-TV, students who produced the special report say this was one of their biggest assignments.
It's a sad moment. So kind of portraying that in a professional manner was kind of like at the height of at least my writing. I wanted to make sure people know like this is a big moment. This is probably the only matriarch we'll see in our lifetime.
Associate professor and general manager of TU-TV, Paul Gluck, says he's proud of his students for investing their time, energy, and intelligence to create a professional account of one of the biggest moments of this century.
It's interesting that I've seen so many professional reporters be told, go there right now, walk into a room, get handed a mic, and be on television. That's sort of the experience he had.
Yeah, and it turns out that student who is in London right now, Chris Berger, he's someone who actually doesn't want to be on camera usually. He likes being behind the scenes, but he says that he got the call from his producers and he stepped up big time for this occasion. Reporting live at Temple University, Jennifer Lee, Fox 29 News.
Very exciting for these students. Thank you, Jennifer.
Once I was 7 years old, my mama told me, go make yourself some friends or you'll be lonely. Once I was 7 years old. It was a big, big world, but we thought we were bigger, pushing each other to the limits. We were learning quicker. By 11, smoking herb and drinking burning liquor. Never rich, so we were out to make that steady figure. Once I was 11 years old, my daddy told me, go get yourself a wife or you'll be lonely. Once I was 11 years old. Always had that dream like my daddy before me. So I started writing songs, I started writing stories. Something about that glory just always seemed to bore me, cause only those I really love will ever really know me. Once I was 20 years old, my story got told before the morning sun when life was lonely. Once I was 20 years old. Only see my goals, I don't believe in failure, cause I know the smallest voices, they can make it major. I got my boys with me, at least those in favor. And if we don't meet before I leave, I hope I'll see you later. Once I was 20 years old, my story got told. I was writing about everything I saw before me. Once I was 20 years old. Soon we'll be 30 years old. Our songs have been sold. We've traveled around the world and we're still roaming. Soon we'll be 30 years old. I'm still learning about life. My woman brought children for me, so I can sing them all my songs and I can tell them stories. Most of my boys are with me, some are still out seeking glory, and some I had to leave behind. My brother, I'm still sorry. Soon I'll be 60 years old. My daddy got 61. Remember life and then your life becomes a better one. I made a man so happy when I wrote a letter once. I hope my children come and visit once or twice a month. Soon I'll be 60 years old. Will I think the world is cold, or will I have a lot of children who can bore me? Soon I'll be 60 years old. Soon I'll be 60 years old. Will I think the world is cold, or will I have a lot of children who can bore me? Soon I'll be 60 years old. Once I was 7 years old, mama told me, go make yourself some friends or you'll be lonely. Once I was 7 years old. Once I was 7 years old.
Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Dr. Amory Brown, was the first local official to sign the condolence book at the United Kingdom's High Commission in Port of Spain on Friday. The condolence book for Queen Elizabeth II was opened by the UK's High Commissioner to this country, Harriet Cross. The intention is to allow locals an opportunity to express their condolences on the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth of Nations Queen died on Thursday.
It's the end of an era, and the end of the Elizabethan era.
People around the world are paying tribute to Queen Elizabeth. That includes right here in Denver with a local group of British women.
Now you're hanging in the balance of these systemic issues, trying to navigate your student loans.
In the wake of the White House's federal student loan forgiveness, some Coloradans say there's a real disparity in how that forgiveness impacts different communities.
We saw a real need in Montbello to pilot this service.
There's a new transportation service in Montbello. The city of Denver hopes it will fill the gaps for people who can't get around by car.
And a Las Vegas public official is being held in jail. Police say he's responsible for the murder of a Vegas journalist.
Tributes continue to pour in around the world for Queen Elizabeth, Britain's longest reigning monarch.
The country now enters a 10-day mourning period as the Queen's son now becomes king. Gun salutes and church bells ringing out all across Britain honoring the Queen today. She served as monarch for 70 years. At the House of Commons today, lawmakers came together to pay tribute. Among them was brand new Prime Minister Liz Truss, who the Queen swore in to lead the country just 2 days before her death.
The United Kingdom is the great country it is today because of her. The Commonwealth is the family of nations it is today because of her.
The Queen's son, now King Charles III, made his first address to the nation today. He paid tribute to his mother and also officially named his firstborn son, William, as his heir.
As my heir, William now assumes the Scottish titles which have meant so much to me. He succeeds me as Duke of Cornwall and takes on the responsibilities for the Duchy of Cornwall, which I have undertaken for more than 5 decades. Today, I am proud to create him Prince of Wales.
Charles also expressed love for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, who stepped down as senior members of the royal family in 2020.
The impact of the death of Queen Elizabeth reaches all the way here to Colorado. A group called British Girls in Denver gathered in Littleton today to sip tea and eat scones in the Queen's memory. But one member of the group has a unique perspective. Sylvia Lamb was born in England and her parents are from Ghana and Barbados, 2 countries colonized under British rule. She says the transfer of power in the monarchy has a different meaning to her and her family.
My father's from Ghana, my mum is from Barbados. They're from former colonies. The Queen was the head of the Commonwealth. And the Commonwealth was born out of the colonization of countries, the oppression of people. Her wealth, the royal wealth, has come at the expense of other people, has come at the expense of my forefathers.
The group of friends here says they see this as an opportunity to get their country back together again and are anxious to see where their former country goes from here.
Historically, Black women borrow more in student loans and face greater obstacles to pay that debt back, often facing gender and racial pay gaps once they do enter the workforce. Well, 12 years after starting college, African American women owe 13% more than they borrowed compared to white men who have then paid off about 44% of their debt. It's all according to the Educational Trust, a nonprofit that works closely to close opportunity gaps. They're also more likely than their white female counterparts to borrow money to fund their education. And while $10,000 or $20,000 in student loan forgiveness is still certainly a dent, some say it still won't help many Black women pay back the majority of their student loan debt.
On average, Black women are making 62 cents on the dollar when it comes to their wages. And so combine those 2 factors of average family wealth, gender pay gap. Now you're hanging in the balance of these systemic issues, trying to navigate your student loans.
Candace Smith with Boss Generation, it's an organization that's trying to combat this, says on average, Black women will borrow about $54,000 to fund their education.
Expanded public transportation services may be coming to Globeville in El Rey Swansea. A pilot microtransit program launched in Montbello last year was widely successful. It provided rides for more than 33,000 passengers since last fall. Now Denver is looking to do something similar in other underserved communities. Here's Courtney Yoon.
A lot of folks need transportation.
Getting around Montbello can be tricky if you don't have your own car.
And we saw a real need in Montbello to pilot this service.
Vanessa Lacayo with Denver's Department of Transportation and Infrastructure says that's why they launched the Montbello Connector last year.
So this is really to complement RTD service and not necessarily replace, because we're trying to fill gaps in areas where there isn't already existing travel opportunities and public transit opportunities.
It's a rideshare program that's free to use either through the app or by phone.
for quite some time, years. Been difficult for people to get to the places they need to go.
Donna Garnett with the Montbello Organizing Committee says poor public transportation options are part of the reason they started their community group 7 years ago. For example, she says there's no grocery store in Montbello, and for the elderly or people without a car, getting someplace to just pick up dinner can be tough.
It's great to be able to take RTD, but sometimes, you know, your needs are different.
She says the Montbello Connector is a great addition to the community. People who use it say they feel safe riding it, and they're excited the pilot services have been extended 2 years. But she says they still need more accessible transportation options.
It is one in a whole array of solutions that we need in our community.
Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
City Council approval is still needed to move forward with the microtransit program. If approved, the city hopes to get that started in late fall, early winter. They're currently asking the public for feedback on what residents would like to see for that service.
The Denver Sheriff's Department held a swearing-in ceremony today for the first Latina to achieve the rank of major in the department's history. Janelle Orozco has been with the department for nearly 20 years now. She's worked her way up from deputy now to major. Orozco said she hopes her journey can serve as an inspiration for others.
It's such an honor to be able to be the first Latina and to be able to inspire others to come into this field, to be able to do all these things that I've been able to accomplish. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I would really like to encourage each and every young individual that sees me to take that step and to pursue their dreams.
Las Vegas police have charged a county public official with the murder of a journalist. Robert Tejas is being held without bail after allegedly stabbing Las Vegas Review-Journal reporter Jeff Gearman 7 times. Tejas blamed his failed re-election campaign in June on articles Gearman wrote about his department. Gearman was in the middle of writing another story about Tejas when he was killed.
He basically was, 100% hard-hitting reporter. This was the kind of work he was going to do for as long as he could.
Investigators say they found Tejas' DNA under Gearman's fingernails. Tejas is due back in court on Tuesday.
The suspect accused of going on a shooting spree in Memphis made his first court appearance today. 19-year-old Ezekiel Kelly allegedly drove around the city, randomly firing at people and even live streaming some of those attacks on social media. 4 people died, 3 others were injured. Kelly is facing 1 charge of first-degree murder, and more charges are expected as this investigation continues.
The governor of Texas is deploying Department of Public Safety officers to Uvalde, Texas, after police say 2 children were shot there last night. 2 people were transported to the San Antonio hospitals for treatment. Their conditions are unknown at this time. Texas DPS says it was a suspected gang-related shooting. 4 suspects are now in custody. They could be the transport of the future, and United Airlines is investing $15 million in them.
Many Americans stayed home during the first year of the pandemic, but man, in 2021, we were out and about spending a whole lot of money on having fun.
Houstonians coming together to honor Queen Elizabeth's legacy.
Dozens paid their respects at Houston's British consulate in downtown, where there is a growing memorial. Brittany Ford shows us how the Queen is being remembered here in Houston.
There has been a steady line of people coming by offering their condolences. This book, as well as others from across the world, will be sent directly to the royal family.
We join the world in mourning for the Queen. All in it together.
Putting pen to paper.
Thank you from the Johnson family, for my whole family, for a lifetime of service that you've given us.
Is how Houston's community is standing with its British brothers and sisters.
For so many people in the world, she has been such a model figure of civic duty and engagement.
Sharing grief of Queen Elizabeth II's passing being felt across the world.
I was a state legislator. I was in my 2nd term. Met her in 1991.
Mayor Turner reflecting on the honor it was to be in Her Majesty's presence.
Very gracious, what I call a quiet elegance, soft-spoken.
2 Houston's British Consulate, a place where people are coming together to gain a sense of closeness.
Just the connection that the world has to the Queen. Obviously, most people alive, their whole life, the Queen has been there. Good times, bad times, we've seen her.
Remembering a queen whose legacy will live on forever.
This is a very admirable person indeed. If we're looking for role models in the world, there's not too many that outstrip her.
The memorial and the condolence book will be here through next week. Reporting in downtown, Brittany Ford, KHOU 11 News.
The Blasco Library now features a Queen Elizabeth display for community members to learn more about the public figure.
After learning about the death of Queen Elizabeth, Erie County librarians put together this exhibit. The display includes books about the Queen in her youth and later in her reign, as well as more lighthearted stories. One of the librarians telling us they changed their displays based on important current events like the death of the Queen. She says people really enjoy learning more about the royal family, and in this case, Queen Elizabeth II.
It's one of the longest monarchies that has reigned, across the world, and so people are just really interested in what's up to it. And we kind of watched William and Harry grow up, with their grandmother and everything like that. So it's something that we like to read about. It's something that we like to learn about.
You can check out books and materials from the display at the Erie County Library on the Bayfront to learn more about Queen Elizabeth's legacy.
Here in New York, people are also paying their respects to the Queen. Pix 7's James Ford joining us live from Midtown with more. Hi, James.
And specifically, we are at the British Consulate and Mission to the United Nations. And since the workday ended, the number of people coming here to leave flowers, plant flags, leave other mementos, that number continues to grow. And this is by no means the only place where people are offering their condolences. One by one they came, quietly pausing at the portrait of Queen Elizabeth and saying their farewells in the commemorative garden that bears her name.
Thought it would be nice to come down here since I'm here and just have a minute.
This is the Queen Elizabeth II Garden in the Financial District. It opened in 2005, but the Queen herself dedicated it 5 years later in one of her 3 official visits to New York. Locals came all day Friday to say how much they appreciated her and love her.
She has been an inspiration for every woman on this planet with her grace, her power, and her dignity.
What an incredible lady, what an incredible human being, what a role model, what a leader. That's what leadership looks like.
The garden is dedicated to 9/11 victims from the United Kingdom, and as this flagstone for Australia shows, it recognizes the Commonwealth. That's the group of more than 50 countries or territories worldwide over which the Queen was head of state or which chose to be affiliated with the United Kingdom. At its consulate and mission to the United Nations in Midtown, a memorial built all day, and people came to sign the official condolences book. Leading the line was Mayor Eric Adams.
A dignified leader during these turbulent times.
It's a woman who evolved over time and grew over time.
Early in the afternoon, the new British monarch, King Charles, addressed his nation and the world from London with a portrait of his mother by his side.
As the Queen herself did with such unswerving devotion, I too now solemnly pledge myself, throughout the remaining time God grants me, to uphold the constitutional principles at the heart of our nation.
And here at the British Consulate and Mission, people continue to leave mementos and can come here in person Monday through Friday of next week from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. to sign the official condolence book. You can also leave condolences toward Queen Elizabeth on the royal family's website. Just go to pix11.com and click on this story that's titled Condolences Expressed for the Queen Across the Tri-State, and the link is right there to leave an official message of condolence for the royal family.
Reporting live from Midtown, I'm James Ford, Pix 11 News.
Paying tribute to the Queen, quote, Melania and I are deeply saddened to learn of the loss of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. We will always cherish our time together with the Queen and never forget Her Majesty's generous friendship, great wisdom, and wonderful sense of humor. What a grand and beautiful lady she was. There was nobody like her.
Fox News contributor Laura Trump joins us now. Laura, good morning to you. And we understand that you had the honor of meeting the Queen at Buckingham Palace during President Trump's time in office. What was that experience like, and how are you remembering her today?
Well, obviously, this is a very sad day, I think, for the entire world. I do want to take a quick second maybe to bring it up and say happy birthday to my mom, who's watching from Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina right now. But I can tell you, as a little girl growing up in North Carolina, never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine that I would have an opportunity to visit Buckingham Palace as a guest and be in the company of Queen Elizabeth II. It just truly a dream come true, something that I never ever imagined would happen. I think so many people feel that way, but I think that I respected her as so many others did because she really represented what I feel is a bygone era, a time and a generation where people put duty and tradition in so many ways above themselves, and she certainly represented that. She had such an admirable devotion to her country, and so I can tell you, for all of us in the Trump family, that is something that was impressed upon us before we even went, and then to be there in her presence and in the company of the royal family was magical. And the dinner that we shared with the entire royal family, and obviously the extensions thereof, there were many people at the dinner. It was incredible and something that I'll never forget. And at the time, I was actually 7 months pregnant with my daughter, Carolina. And I remember very distinctly thinking, I'll one day be able to tell my daughter that she kind of, through me, had this incredible experience of being at Buckingham Palace, meeting the royal family, and something I'll never, ever forget.
Laura, that is so special. I love that.
Laura, as for your father-in-law, much has been made of his meetings with the Queen. And during the Jubilee coverage, we heard a lot of stories that while Donald J. Trump doesn't fawn over too many people in his life, he was particularly enthralled with the Queen. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I'd say that that's accurate. I'd say it's very true. You know, my father-in-law, during his time as president, but also his time as a businessman and the icon that he obviously is, has met many world leaders, has met famous people, you know, from all over the world. This was a particular highlight, I think, not just of his presidency, but something in his life, too, that he cherished and will cherish forever. He has such great respect for people like Queen Elizabeth, who, again, love her country so much and did everything she could throughout her life to dedicate herself to her country. I think he respected that. But for him, just like I think the rest of us, you know, this was the person who was the monarch of the United Kingdom his entire life. And so it was so special to have a person like that welcome him and welcome our entire family to their home and their country in the way that they did and that she did. And I can tell you that he will cherish that forever. That was certainly a big highlight.
You going to the Queen's funeral, sir?
Yes. I don't know what the details are yet, but I will be going.
Have you called the King, sir? Have you spoken to the King?
I know him. I haven't spoken to him. I did not call him yet.
I speak to you today with feelings of profound sorrow. Throughout her life, Her Majesty the Queen, my beloved mother, was an inspiration, an example to me and to all my family. And we owe her the most heartfelt debt any family could owe to their mother, for her love, affection, guidance, understanding, and example. Queen Elizabeth was a life well lived, a promise with destiny kept, and she is mourned most deeply in her passing. That promise of lifelong service I renew to you all today. Alongside the personal grief that all my family are feeling, we also share with so many of you in the United Kingdom, in all the countries where the Queen was head of state, in the Commonwealth and across the world, a deep sense of gratitude for the more than 70 years in which my mother, as Queen, served the people of so many nations. In 1947, on her 21st birthday, she pledged in a broadcast from Cape Town to the Commonwealth to devote her life, whether it be short or long, to the service of her peoples. That was more than a promise. It was a profound personal commitment which defined her whole life. She made sacrifices for duty. Her dedication and devotion as sovereign never wavered through times of change and progress, through times of joy and celebration, and through times of sadness and loss. In her life of service, we saw that abiding love of tradition, together with that fearless embrace of progress, which makes us great as nations. The affection, admiration, and respect she inspired became the hallmark of her reign. And as every member of my family can testify, she combined these qualities with warmth, humor, and an unerring ability always to see the best in people. I pay tribute to my mother's memory, and I honor her life of service. I know that her death brings great sadness to so many of you, and I share that sense of loss beyond measure with you all. When the Queen came to the throne, Britain and the world were still coping with the privations and aftermath of the Second World War, and still living by the conventions of earlier times. In the course of the last 70 years, we have seen our society become one of many cultures and many faiths. The institutions of the state have changed in turn. But through all changes and challenges, our nation and the wider family of realms, of whose talents, traditions, and achievements I am so inexpressibly proud, have prospered and flourished. Our values have remained and must remain constant. The role and the duties of monarchy also remain, as does the sovereign's particular relationship and responsibility towards the Church of England, the church in which my own faith is so deeply rooted. In that faith and the values it inspires, I have been brought up to cherish a sense of duty to others and to hold in the greatest respect the precious traditions, freedoms, and responsibilities of our unique history and our system of parliamentary government. As the Queen herself did with such unswerving devotion, I too now solemnly pledge myself, throughout the remaining time God grants me, to uphold the constitutional principles at the heart of our nation,